Hi, this is Daryl Leary, and this is my new 3D 360 concept video. If you look at the bottom of the screen, like if you're wearing VR goggles, if you're watching this through VR goggles, and you look straight down, or if you're watching this on YouTube, and you take the cursor on the screen and move the screen so you're looking straight down at the video, you're going to see the GPS telemetry data that I embedded onto the patch here. And that GPS data is going to tell you how fast I'm walking in this video in miles per hour. It's going to tell you the distance I've walked in this video in miles. It's going to tell you the date and the time as it changes throughout the video. And it also has the coordinates so that you can look up these coordinates on Google Earth. So the GPS data is constantly changing throughout the video, and I decided to add the GPS data to the patch. The patch is the blind spot of the camera. That's so the patch is usually like a picture or a logo or whatever you have it. And so I decided to add the GPS data to the patch so that way it wouldn't obscure the 3D 360 view when you're looking straight ahead or around. Secondly, I extended the patch so that it would hide my entire body so I don't show up in the video. This is something I've been working on. I wanted to walk around with the 3D 360 camera. It's actually the Vuze camera, V-U-Z-E. But I didn't want to be in the video. So I widened the patch so that it would hide my entire body. Now, I'm actually wearing a helmet, and at the top of this helmet is a 1/4-inch screw that extends up about 8 inches, and then the camera is screwed onto the top of that screw. So the camera itself is above my head. And I walked throughout this video for about 1.83 miles. And I'm walking through Hermitage Park in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And while I was doing that, I heard some woman say something because I'm walking around with this helmet with the screw coming out and the camera screwed on. She said something to this one guy, and this one guy said, "Well, it's better than a tinfoil hat." So essentially he was like making fun of me because I looked different than everybody else that was there at the park. It would have been kind of nice though if he would have just, came up to me and asked me what I was doing, because the thing is, I like to do innovative things with videography and photography, and sometimes doing innovative things that are really like pioneering in terms that like no one's ever done it before. You have to do things differently, and sometimes that involves trying out strange homemade contraptions to pull off certain video concepts and video effects. Typically the Vuze camera does have a handle on it, and there's a lot of videos of people just walking around holding it in their hand, and it looks a lot less strange than having the camera mounted on a helmet. But you still have the person in the video, unless that's something they want. you know, unless they want to be in the video and they want to be part of the video. In this case, I didn't want to be in the video, so this is something I had been working on for a long time, you know, trying to successfully pull off these two concepts. The one concept having the GPS telemetry data on the video, and the second concept being having the being able to widen the patch to hide my entire body. Now, widening the patch that covers the blind spot of the camera does take away a little bit from the 3D 360 view of Hermitage Park, like what you're seeing here, but it doesn't make a big difference, you know. It really doesn't, because when you're watching these videos, especially like with VR goggles, you're looking straight ahead, so you don't even see the patch. You know, it's only when you look down that you actually see the patch with the telemetry data, that's the GPS data that's continually changing. Right in the center of the patch is my starting point. So there's the date, the time that I started the video, and the coordinates of my starting point, and then I have my name on there. So this was on June 5th, and Hermitage Park has several man-made lakes in it, and it's right by the North Saskatchewan River. And I've been meaning to do a video where I just walk through the park and capture the trees and all the geese that frequent the park, and get close to the man-made lakes and things like that. I was pretty hot walking through this park, because I had this helmet on. I had my mask on because we're in a COVID-19 pandemic, so and I was trying to stay far away from other people too. So this was a bit challenging, you know. Aside from having a few people laugh at me, and you know, I was also trying to keep my distance away from other people, which meant that for the most part I couldn't just walk where I wanted to, you know, because social distancing, right? So there was a lot of people fishing in these man-made lakes. I don't know if they artificially add fish to the lakes, but the lakes remain there all throughout the winter, and they freeze over into ice. And you know, this is not like Rundle Park, where they actually drain the lakes during the winter time and then refill them in the summertime and turn on the fountains. Hermitage Park is actually one of my my favorite parks, to be honest with you. Just because I really like the geography. I really enjoy flying my drone in this park, and because the North Saskatchewan River snakes around this park, and secondly, it's got all these man-made lakes, and it's got all these trees, and it's got nice rolling hills, and it's pretty big, you know. The total distance I walked was about 1.83 miles. But sometimes creating art comes at a cost, and innovation and pioneering requires doing things that are awkward and might get you unwanted attention and strange looks and stares and things of that nature. This is the dock by the lake that has the two islands in the middle of it here, and there's a. I didn't want to step onto the dock because I was worried about getting too close to anybody. Because well, my wife has 3 comorbidities, so if she got the virus, it could kill her. So if I get the SARS-CoV-2 virus, then I become a threat to her life, and so I must take every precaution to make sure I don't get this virus. But I think what makes this a good video is that I walked through a few small forests, you know, and the camera itself got really close to branches and leaves and things like that, which really add to the overall 3D effect. You know, it's you really see a pronounced 3D effect when objects come closer to a 3D camera and a 3D 360 camera like I'm using. So I'm sort of walking in a roundabout way because a lot of people came to this park on this day and they were all situated around these little man-made lakes. So I sort of had to more or less walk, take a more of a private route around. You can see my shadow there. You know. The only thing I really have to figure out now is how to remove shake from the video. And this camera, this Vuze camera, the camera itself actually has 8 individual cameras around it, built into it. It's got 4 sides, and on each side there's 2 cameras. 2 cameras to capture 3D from each of the 4 sides. And here you can see I'm getting really close to some brush in that, but I'm being careful enough as to not scratch the camera lens, and I'm coming up to these power lines here. And where was I going with that thought? I'm just trying to think here. Oh, shake. Yeah. So holding the camera in my hand and holding my arms straight out gets very tiring. You know, especially like when you're walking, your arm gets tired from being straightened out and holding a 1-pound camera in position for the entire time of the video. And you get a lot more shake that way too, because your arm bounces up and down much more than if you have the camera mounted on your head. And mounting the camera on a helmet was the only way that I could secure the camera over my head. But there's still a little bit of shake because when I'm walking, I don't walk perfectly horizontally. I mean, there's a bounce in my walk. I mean, there's a bounce in everyone's walk. My bounce just happens to be more pronounced than other people. So the best I can do right now, as far as eliminating the shake from the video, is to use software. You know, the VR studio that Vuze put out to eliminate shake and horizontal stabilization. But software is not an end all. You know, software cannot completely eliminate the natural bounce that comes from walking. So that has to be solved in the mechanics. And unfortunately, you know, um, there isn't really technology, mechanical technology that exists for this Vuze camera, like to stabilize it, you know, along a X, Y, and Z axis to eliminate any vibration or shake or anything like that. So that's still something that I have to figure out. Now, I decided not to edit this video in terms of like putting all the more interesting clips and taking out like the walks like I'm taking now, like through this big open field where you probably don't appreciate the 3D as much because all the objects are further away from the camera. But I wanted this to be one continuous video because the thing I like about VR watching this through like VR goggles, you know, I use my phone and I use Google Cardboard on YouTube to watch this through VR goggles, is that I like to escape, you know, when I'm at home and feel like I'm in a different world, and I want to be able to do that for like half an hour, 40 minutes, you know, this type of thing. And nature is something I've always really enjoyed, you know. I really enjoy like the wildlife in nature and the trees and especially like ponds and lakes and rivers and things of that nature. So, you know, the thing I really enjoy about nature is that it's also escape from people too, you know. I really enjoyed this walk, to be honest with you. Um, I just enjoyed seeing like different parts of Hermitage Park that I've never walked through, and and it was a bit of a hike, you know. It was like a 2 mile hike, and that's one thing I enjoy with my photography. You know, I enjoy like shooting wildlife. You know, especially things like squirrels. I really enjoy shooting squirrels, getting close ups of squirrels. I've got a camera that has like 60 time optical zoom. You know, which is far better than digital zoom because optical zoom is actually extra lenses within the camera to uh, to increase the picture as opposed to just increasing, you know, magnifying pixels and having your image all pixelated. So I like getting like close up pictures of like the head of a squirrel, or you know, that type of thing, or like a really nice close up video of a squirrel doing its thing. And I'm also working with my drone videos too. Um, I actually have just with my drone videos here in Edmonton. You know, I fly a DJI Mavic Mini that weighs like 249 grams, so I don't have to worry about all the restrictions imposed by Transport Canada. Those drone videos also have GPS telemetry data, and one thing I'm working on too is having a map with a little dot on the map, and the dot moves through the map in relationship to where the drone is flying through the park. So that's going to be the next video that I've been slowly putting together as a, you know, a new concept video. So in the making of this video, I actually had extraordinary trouble. Um, I did one render that lasted 2.5 hours to find out that render failed. I changed a few things. I did another rendering, and that next rendering also lasted 2.5 hours, and that was a failure. So then what I decided to do was much smaller renderings, within like 30 seconds or 1 minute, just to see if the concept would render out the way I wanted them to on the video editors. And so I've been uploading these private clips to YouTube, so only I can see them, to see if these concepts are working out the way I want them to work out. And I've had a lot of failed attempts before finally achieving the success that you see in this video. So there's been a lot of work. This is the product of probably 3 days of work, from morning to night. I continuously had problems with trying to implement certain things through different video editors to achieve this the concept, this concept video, without compromising the quality of the video. Man, a lot of work, a lot of frustration. A lot of doubt of whether I was going to be able to pull off this concept. What was really important to me was having continuously changing GPS data on the patch. Because typically in the beginning I would just put on the patch, I would just have a picture, and it would have text on that picture of just the location where I started from. But of course that location always changes when you're walking through the video. Here's some geese over here, and I wanted to get some close 3D 360 footage of the geese themselves, but I'm 5 feet 10 inches, and with the camera mounted on the helmet, probably puts the camera at about 6 feet. No, probably about 6'5", 6 feet 5 inches. So it's hard to get a close 3D 360 close-up of the geese in the park. Now, another frustration with these videos, is that these 3D 360 videos have an overall resolution of 3840, a width of 3840 by a height of 2160. So it's like full 4K. And they're rendered at 120 megabytes per second. And so this video is about 36 gigabytes, and because it's a 43-minute video, so these are like really large data files to upload to YouTube. And so it takes a long time. It takes hours for the video to upload onto YouTube, and then it takes hours longer for YouTube to process the video so that you can see the final product. So it's a really long process, and this is the trouble with trying to be a pioneer and do something innovative in video, is that you always have these times when you're just waiting for so long for the video to upload, to process, to see if it works, and then you've got the video editors that take however long they take to render the final product to see if a certain effect worked. And the thing with 3D 360 videos is you don't really see the final product until it's uploaded and processed on YouTube. You know, unless you've got like a 3D 360 player on your computer where you could view the final product before you actually upload it to YouTube. I don't have such a player. I have a 360 player, and I have a 3D player. All this video editing was done with the PowerDirector 17. Which is a great software because it was the only software where I had these extra editing features for the Vuze camera that could do editing above and beyond what the Vuze VR Studio could do. You know, the Vuze VR Studio didn't really allow for video editing in terms of taking like clips and putting certain clips together and editing like the timeline. It more accounted for, you know, stabilization and color correcting and brightness correcting and these kind of elements. Yeah, I think here I was walking behind some people. Yeah. Oh gosh. But you know, the funny thing about shooting with this camera, because this is an odd looking camera. You know, it's a VR camera. And I mean, so it's more than just a 360 camera because it also shoots in 3D at the same time. And you know, I did a VR video in West Edmonton Mall, and like one policeman stopped me and asked me what I was measuring and what company I worked for, and he didn't even understand that what I was holding in my hand was actually a camera. You know, so I've heard other people who bought this camera, you know, use it, you know, in different public places, you know, mention that, like, they get, you know, people give them strange looks because they don't understand what this device is. They don't even understand that it's a camera, you know, and that it's recording 360 and 3D at the same time. You know, because I guess it's not really the product itself isn't really mainstream. You know, this is a 3D 360 4K camera, and on the market they actually have an 8K version of this with double the resolution. But of course it's like thousands and thousands of dollars, and I can't afford that. So yeah. And so when I was out on this day, I actually did some experimental drone concepts. I actually took the drone out and did some experimental photogrammetry. That's where you take a series of pictures around an object, and then you take those pictures and you run it through photogrammetry software to compile like a 3D model of that object. So I did an experiment like that, and I was successful in rendering the 3D model, but at the same time the 3D model came out distorted when it was trying to compile the man-made lake that I shot over. It couldn't understand water because water has this reflective surface, and the clouds reflect on the water. So the photogrammetry model came out distorted with these strange shapes and everything when it tried to figure out what it was looking at when it was looking at this man-made pond. But I flew the drone around with the camera tilted down about 39 degrees, and I flew the drone in a square perimeter around this area that had a man-made pond in the middle. And then I also took I took the drone up, the DJI Mavic Mini, and I took it up about 233 feet. And I took a series of shots. I just rotated the camera, and then I tilted the camera down a little bit and rotated the drone, taking more shots. And I took 17 shots all around the drone and below the drone to create a 360 picture 233 feet up in the air. And I came home and I stitched together 17 images, and they stitched together to a beautiful 360 photo taken with the DJI Mavic Mini. And then it took me about 3 hours to work out the parameters of that 360 photo. It's actually called a photosphere because it's round, like a sphere. And it took me 3 hours to be able to tweak all the parameters so that I could upload it to Google Street View. Because Google Street View is part of Google Maps, and what you do is you take like 360 pictures with the 360 camera wherever you are, and then you upload it, and it shows up for that location that you took the 360 picture for. And so, of course, I also had to use software to insert the GPS metadata into that picture, and insert the metadata that told the picture that it was equi-rectangular format or 360 format, you know. And that wasn't too hard. But tweaking the parameters just right to be able to successfully upload it to Google Street View was the trickiest part, and it took me about 3 hours to figure out just exactly how to do that. The other thing I did was I took the drone up and I took a picture, and then I moved the drone off to the side a little bit, and I took another picture, and I did that for a series of pictures because I wanted to take an aerial 3D photo. You know, a 3D photo is basically like you have two pictures that are together, and the left picture is from a slightly different perspective than the right picture, just like your eyes see the world, and you get like that 3D concept, right? And the next project I'm working on is a 3D drone video of Hermitage Park. And when I flew the drone over Hermitage Park, it was a really nice flyby from the beginning of Hermitage Park over all the man-made lakes in a straight line to the end of Hermitage Park. And the DJI Mavic Mini, of course, only has like one camera. So the way I'm going to make this 3D video is I'm going to take that video, make 2 copies of that video, and have them frame by side by side, the 2 videos, and I'm just going to advance the frames on the right video. I'm going to advance it a few frames so that the right video will have a slightly different perspective than the left video, and I'll render that as a 3D video because the drone is always moving. You know, that way each frame will have the slightly different perspective that's required for 3D. So that's a video I have yet to work on. So I had a number of like photography and videography concepts and experiments that I wanted to pull off, and so I've been working on all these concepts. I think right here I'm walking right by the North Saskatchewan River, and yeah, I'm walking on these trails that are just right behind these people that are fishing in the river. So but I am so happy, that I finally pulled this off. I had a number of technical issues that really, truly required a lot of thinking outside the box. There were certain things I wanted to do, but the video editors, had their limitations, and there were certain things that they just didn't have built-in functions to do. And so when you're dealing with software and equipment that doesn't do something that you want it to do, then you really have to think outside the box and think to yourself, well, how can I still pull off that concept? I have to do something different, I mean, as art is something photography and videography is the art I'm most passionate about, and especially Google Maps. I want to be the king of Google Maps of Edmonton. And I want to take more pictures and more video and more 360 photos and all these things that I can upload to Google Maps, more than anyone has ever done before. But I want to be the best at it, and I want to be the most proficient at it, and I've in the last little while I've been introducing a lot of like aerial images to Google Maps, because what you see on the ground is not quite like what you see up in the air. It's a totally different perspective. So yeah, I mean, my photography on Google Maps so far has 34 million views, and it's something I've been doing for maybe almost 3 years now. I would actually go to parks, by myself, and spend like a whole hour just shooting the parks, with the 360 camera, and just so I could upload those images to Google, Google Street View or Google Maps, So this wasn't just, Google Maps wasn't just something that I was just doing when I was at these locations. Like I intentionally went out to these locations and took time out of my day to add to these maps. Now you may ask, well, what's the point of always adding to Google Maps when everything in the world has been pretty much mapped out, and a picture of almost everything has already been taken, especially like in the city of Edmonton? Well, the answer to that is that things are always changing. There's always new construction projects, that affect how the landscape looks like, new buildings being erected, you never know, like the city might decide to build a new man-made pond or create a new trail, or a new staircase or whatever. And the weather also affects the terrain too, when there's things going on like floods and stuff like this. So working with Google Maps is more about like actively recording the history of the terrain in any specific area as it changes, through time. Because I guarantee you that Edmonton is not going to look the same in 40 years or even 20 years or even 10 years from now. So yeah, this is a hobby. I do this voluntarily. I don't make any money from anything I do. I don't make any money from anything I upload to YouTube, and in these 3D 360 videos that I take of like the parks in Edmonton, I just do that to share the 3D 360 experience of being in a park in Edmonton, whether it's Hermitage or Rundle or you know, any other park. And I think we're almost coming to the end of the video here. Yes, I recognize this. This was a pond that was nearby where my wife was having her picnic because she was celebrating a social distancing birthday. It was her daughter Ashley's 30th birthday. And she wanted to have it in Hermitage Park, which was awesome for me because I wanted to do all these photography and videography experiments and concepts, you know. So, so right here, I'm slowly walking to the picnic area, but her daughter had already left by this point, and she's actually sitting in the car, and you're going to see that right away. It's hard to get close to these geese, you know. The only way you can really get a close-up shot of these geese is if you were to take a camera, put it on the ground or on a tripod, and put food around it so that it would attract the geese to come towards the camera, but then you would have to step back, you know, because these geese, they're social in the sense that they accept that there's people in the park, but they get very cynical and skeptical if people get too close to them. So but so you know, this video was a lot of work, a lot of trial and error, a lot of failures, a lot of frustration, a lot of sweat. But I'm so happy to produce the final product and show it to you here with this audio narration. There's some you can see a little bit of my backpack. It's kind of hard to hide that, but I'm getting better at these videos, you know, and that's the idea, is to do new things, innovate, pioneer. I really get excited when I do something that I've seen nobody else do before. And I've never seen anyone do a 3D 360 video like this before. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. And I'm Daryl Leary. Thank you. What's going on? Where's Ashley? Where's
They went home.
Oh really?
Yeah, I picked up our parking lot here and they wanted to use this table, so he said she's gonna go. She's not feeling well, she has the runs.
Okay.
So she's resting, and then around 7 we're gonna play a game.
Okay.